Hello everybody, hope everybody's having a great time. This is Steve here again. Today I'm going to talk to you about 3 miracles that I happen to know about, because 2 of them happened to myself and to my wife, and the other one happened to some fellow missionaries that I used to know a long time ago. And so we're going to go back in time here. You're probably wondering why I'm talking about miracles and mentioning my book, my first book about the paranormal. What's miracles got to do with the paranormal? Well, that's a good question. But actually, when you examine the word paranormal, all it means is outside of the normal. And miracles certainly are outside the miracle. So whether it's dark things that happen, or dark things we see, or it's things of light, or miraculous things that happen without us actually seeing any beings, but they're obviously there. All I can tell you that as a missionary, when I was young, we experienced many miracles. Living by faith and putting our trust in the Bible, the Word of God, and going to faraway places. The first miracle I'm going to tell you about happened a long time ago when we were young and we lived in South America, and we lived in Chile. My wife and I had had our first baby, Camilla, was born in Spain, and we moved over to Chile, and we were living at the time in this high-rise apartment, high up, 7th floor, something like that. And our little daughter, she was only 8 months old, and we were young, and young people tend to be in a big hurry most of the time, even with kids in tow. So we had our first child with us, and she was in a stroller, and some of the things I've done in my life, we were musicians for over 20 years, singing for people. I've been a teacher, English teacher, for over 20 years too. I did that as well as being a missionary and telling people about Jesus. But music and teaching were 2 of our ministries, and taking care of our kids, of course. Well, I'll never forget this day when we hadn't been long. We arrived from Spain to South America, and as I say, our daughter's born in Spain. She was only about 6-7 months now. They were in Chile, and somehow or other we forgot to tie our little daughter into the stroller. And as we came down the top step, and if I remember rightly, there was probably about 6 to 8, 9 stone steps right in front of us. And unfortunately, because we hadn't tied her in, or forgotten to, or been into a big hurry, or whatever, suddenly the motion of putting the stroller onto the stairs, she fell out. And under normal circumstances, she would have got badly hurt, because she would have hit her face right on the stone stairs. But that's not what happened. And this is something we both saw, and we testify to. That all of a sudden, it was like our daughter was moving through the air in absolute slow motion. She even did a somersault in the air, and miraculously landed on the bottom step, sitting on her little backside, oblivious that anything dangerous had just happened to her, and just saying goo goo and just being happy. And we both saw that. We were actually stunned. I'll tell you, we never ever again forgot to tie in a small baby into the stroller. Well, that happened to us in Chile, like I said, a very long time ago. I mean, I'm 70 now. I just had my 70th birthday, so it must have been, I won't say 50 years ago, but a good 40-odd years ago. Yes, at least 40-odd years ago. And another example I'd like to give of a miracle outside the normal was here in the UK. Again, we were a lot younger at the time. We had been driving all the way from Scotland down to London and visiting friends and fellow missionaries. And we had a great time with the kids. We had some of our kids with us in the car, and they were young. My wife and I in the front, and we were driving back on the M1. Now, if you know anything about the M1 motorway, you know it gets really busy. 3 lanes, if I remember correctly. 4 lanes. And I was in the second lane, and the slow lane had all these trucks in it. And then it started pouring with rain. And then I had a truck. I came up behind a truck. And then of all things, the guy in the truck suddenly slowed down without warning. And what should have happened is I should have smashed right into the back of him at the speed I was going. Oh, I digress a bit here, just to go back and say, before this actually happened in the car with my wife and our kids, again, many years ago, before this happened, we had been singing and we were all happy, and we're praising the Lord and praying, and we always prayed before we traveled for safekeeping and for God's protection, His angels to protect us. Well, lo and behold, they sure did on this occasion. Now, what happened next was exactly what I read about by another writer, another author, who said that he also had the same thing happen to him. And one of the things he stated, when it comes to the angels of God, they don't normally go into action unless they absolutely have to, when it's a dire emergency. So there we were, there I was with my wife and our kids in the car, and suddenly we were in a very dangerous situation. Rain, and the truck suddenly, out of nowhere, I think what he did was he changed lanes from the inner to the middle lane suddenly, right in front of me without warning. And because of the wet conditions, if I was to slow down too rapidly, there would be an accident. But I was sure I was going to hit that truck right in front of me, or lorry as we say in the UK, when all of a sudden I felt physically somebody take the wheels right out of my hands, and like a racing driver suddenly spun the wheels super fast and went quickly into the fast lane and overtook the truck and then put us back in the right lane. And it happened so fast, and I could physically feel the wheel torn out of my hands. I'll never forget that. I'll never forget that. It was the most incredible experience. It saved our lives when we were driving in a car, my wife and I, with I think 3 of our kids in the back, a very long time ago. That's in the days when we could travel long distance. We can't do that anymore because of our health now. But anyway, at that time, that was a miracle. An angel of God took over the steering of our car so that we did not have a very serious accident. And I'm forever thankful for those 2 miraculous occasions that I just told you about that happened to both of us. And finally, I have another one that didn't happen to us. It happened to some fellow missionaries I used to know long before this, all the way over in Denmark. First, we used to be over in Scandinavia. We were missionaries in Scandinavia, and then we moved down to Spain, missionaries there. Then we went to Chile in South America, and then after that we went to Brazil. And then finally, we came back to the UK years later. Well, I want to tell you a story about somebody a long, long time ago, back in the early 70s. And like us, this fellow missionary, when he was young, he was driving a van down in Copenhagen, a very busy city. And unfortunately for him, there had been some roadworks, and they had changed the direction of the traffic, unbeknownst to him. So he did what he usually did, and in his van, or minibus, I think it was a van, he was suddenly found himself driving the wrong direction. The traffic lights suddenly turned to green, and he had all these cars coming against him, full speed. And he just cried out and said, "God, help me. Jesus, help me." And then he said the strangest things happened. He was suddenly in that dilemma, and the next thing he remembers, a split second later, his van was completely turned around. He was driving in the complete opposite direction with the flow of the traffic. I never forget him telling us that is amazing. Now, as I've said before, when these sort of things happen to you, it makes your hair stand on end and makes you very happy that God and his angels are there for his missionaries and those who are working for him. So that was another amazing testimony. Absolutely fantastic. There are many other things like that I've experienced in my life, but I thought on this occasion just to mention those three miracles, which I will also put in my new book, Out the Bottomless Pit 2, when it comes out. It'll be full of miracles and testimonies and the supernatural and the paranormal and very strange things as well. Because one thing I will mention is I just read, also I saw a video today, incredible video by Jonathan Cahn, everybody should watch it, where he's explaining exactly why everything on our planet today is descending into chaos and disorder. It's on my website. You can go on my website and you can see what I'm talking about on my website. My website is www.outthebottomlesspit.co.uk, and on there I put a lot of up-to-date information of what's really going on this planet. Not what you're told, but what's really happening. But you can find that out on my website. My website is very extensive. It has a lot of not only the latest news, but it also has a lot of testimonies, and it has a lot of the miraculous and supernatural, and it has a lot of very interesting things that I've collected over the years since 2014 on my website. So I encourage people to go on my website at www.outthebottomlesspit.co.uk. Okay, well, I suppose that's enough from me for tonight. I wish you all well. Have a great week. And keep looking up to Jesus. Keep looking up to heaven. Because God will do the kind of miracles for you that he's done for us. You get in a tight situation, just cry out. Holler to Jesus. Ask God to come and help you. And his angels will be there to help you. You can be sure of that. Have a great night. Bye for now.